really wasn't expecting to make a video on Daima again so soon, but once again I've fallen down a rabbit hole that yielded way more interesting results than I was expecting. At the time of recording this video, only 3 episodes of Daima have aired, and so far the series has been received with surprisingly open arms. A fact that brings me both great joy, as well as relief given how many naysayers Daima had before releasing.
It's magic! No! Oh my god, bro, what the f is this? Nobody asked for this! We just wanted Moro!
And while I've already dove deep into the history of Daima's brand new composer, Kosuke Yamashita, or Yamashita if you're from the south like me, in episode 2 we got to see the series' opening and ending themes. And what we did get kind of surprised a lot of people. We have this grand series that is Daima, returning to Dragon Ball's roots of adventures and mysticism, but both themes are quite melancholic and contemplative. Well, as it turns out, from that rabbit hole I mentioned earlier, there is a very good reason for that. One that you can probably glean from this video's title, Toriyamas Passing. I'm going to do my best to not harp on Toriyama's death, because if I do, I'm going to get all emotional and start crying on mic, and that's just not what this video is about. What this video is about is how Toriyama's passing not only shocked the world, but quite literally caused Toei to completely scrap any plans for Daima's opening and ending themes they already had in place, and moved heaven and earth to completely reshape them as overt tributes to Dragon Ball's creator. So today, let's dive into the surprisingly deep story of how this opening was created at the very last minute, and just how much love was poured into it along the way. I'm Tyson of the Totally Not Marked team, and let's get into it. So to begin this story, we'll have to cast our minds back to the end of 2023. Daima had just been announced, and at that point Toei was playing the series so close to their chest that all we knew about it was that it had been in production for way longer than a regular anime. So long that, from what we can tell, many of Daima's first episodes were all but complete at that point, a year before release. Which is just insane. I mean, some of Super's episodes were completed like days before airing. Maybe even hours? Anyways, Daima had been in the oven for years already, and for all we know, may have already had an opening in the works at that point. What we do know is what came after. The following March, Toriyama passed away. And lo and behold, some folks familiar with the show behind the scenes have indicated that the production on the show's opening, Jaka Jaan, began around late May, maybe even earlier. Now, hearing that alone might already kind of get the idea across quite well. Given how crazy this show's production was, starting production on an opening that late in the process, only weeks after the news broke, paints a pretty clear picture to begin with. Somewhere up the totem pole, it was likely decided that the opening and ending themes would be pivoted to serve as some sort of tribute to Toriyama. So, video over, right? That's how death changed Daima's opening. History complete. Okay, obviously not, because the well goes much deeper than that. In fact, the song itself hides a surprisingly and, rather confusing twist. Editor, roll the clip. Oh, right. I'm the editor. Okay, just hold on. Sorry, this surprise reveal would have been a lot more exciting if I had this ready to go. I'm stuck in this damn chair. Okay. Roll the clip. Me. No, you read that timestamp right. The opening song, composed by famous EDM producer and DJ Zedd, is in fact almost identical to an older song that he released earlier this year. Quick everybody, grab the pitchforks, this man is lazy. Okay, calm down. That's actually kind of the exact opposite point that I'm going to make here. In fact, I think this might be one of the most heartwarming parts of how this opening came to be. If you look at the credits listing for Jaka Jaan, you're going to see a lot of names. 5, in fact, which seems like a whole lot of cooks in the kitchen for a single song. But in truth, basically every person involved, in some way or another, poured their own portion of their soul into this thing. For now, let's start with the actual composer. This fellow right here is Anton Zaslavsky, aka Zedd. He is self-admittedly not really an anime guy, but he has watched one anime, Dragon Ball. Yes, he's one of those guys, settle down anime nerds. But really though, this guy has posted on and off about Dragon Ball for years before ever getting the gig. I mean, look at his logo. That looks like the Z logo to me. I don't know, maybe it's a coincidence, maybe it isn't. More importantly, check out this sick picture of him performing a set in full Goku costume though. But why is this opening almost 1-to-1 to a track he put out like half a year ago? Well, one obvious reason is that, like I mentioned earlier, production of this opening started mad late, so he likely didn't have very much time at all to whip something up. In truth though, there is actually a deeper reason that is a lot sweeter. For funsies, let's travel back to 2016. The grass was greener, skies bluer, you could eat at McDonald's for less than $15, and young people's prospects for buying homes still existed. All the while, in some field in Southern California, Zedd is starting his Coachella set. Let's listen in and see if anything, interesting happens. So what you've just heard is, as best as I can find, the very first time the Jaka Jaan melody was performed publicly, which is super dope. But 2016? That's legit almost a decade ago. The guy has been sitting on this melody for so long. In fact, he used this as his opening for almost every show since this 2016 show. Once he finally released the track proper this year, he did an interview where he explained that not only did he start work on the track back in 2015, but, and here's the key bit, it's maybe his favorite composition he's ever written. I think that alone really brings into focus his repurposing of the track for Daima. Sure, some of it was probably born out of necessity due to how quickly the opening was produced, but it was his choice to take his most prized possession, a track that he quite literally had been working on for almost a decade, and use that for the opening. And you know what? I personally think it works really well. The verse section is wonderfully contemplative and melancholic, while slowly building towards the more hopeful and joyous chorus and chord progression. And I'm glad to say, at least based on the online response we've seen so far, that I'm not alone. Whew, okay, wow, yeah, that is only one person of the 5 for this opening. Next up, I want to talk about this name, Yukinojo Mori. Now, you may very well not recognize that name. In fact, if you do recognize it, there's a pretty good chance someone is going to forcibly take your milk money sometime soon. But for everyone else out there, I'll get you up to speed. Mori's contribution to the opening theme song lies not in its sound, but its lyrics. Mori is a composer as well as a poet, but his chief claim to fame is as a lyricist, which, first of all, is just a fun job to have. Man doesn't even have to perform music, he just writes lyrics. Now, you may ask, why should we care at all about this random guy who wrote the lyrics for Jaka Jaan? Well, I dare you to go online and look up who wrote the lyrics for, this song. Or, hey, maybe Super wasn't your jam and you're more of a Z fan. In that case, I double dog dare you to look up who wrote the lyrics for this highly underground and barely known opening. So not only do we have a composer giving his most beloved composition of all time for the music, we have the actual IRL in real life, unironic, head chala lyricist penning the words for this song. I really don't think I need to go into much more detail on why that rules, so I'm just going to leave it at that. Okay, actually, I won't entirely leave it at that, because even though this guy is a legend, it's clear that he too was impacted by Toriyamas Passing, because, and maybe you've already seen this online, but in case you haven't, throughout the lyrics of the opening, there are syllables of Toriyama's name sprinkled throughout the song. In fact, if you go and watch the opening on the Japanese listing, they were even careful to romanize those syllables so it was clear. Honestly, the lyrics of the entire song are really nice. It's easy, at least for me, to get swept up into the sound of the opening. It's honestly quite impressive to hide the syllables of Akira, Tori, and Yama into the song so seamlessly. But if you haven't already, I really think you should go back and re-watch the opening while paying attention to the lyrics. Because if the visuals didn't make it clear, boy do the lyrics make it clear that this really is a Toriyama tribute through and through. Okay, so that's 2 names down. Lastly, we have the credits of C and K, which, as I found out, is short for Clivey and Keen. Hey, wait a second. Keen was the 5th credit. Okay, I guess there's actually 4 people that worked on this. You fooled me, credits, how dare you. C&K are a famous J-pop group that have been around since 2008, and to be honest, I don't really have anything quite as interesting and heartwarming for their part in this opening. Their fame is honestly mostly exclusive to Japan, so I'm gonna need to learn Japanese to find more on them. One thing I will say about C&K's contribution to this song, however, is that I've seen a fair few posts online asking who the female singer at the beginning of the track is, and that is a question I can answer. It's the C in C&K. This fella. Seriously, having a super high voice is kind of his whole thing in their regular music, so it's fun to see it fooling fans who are unfamiliar with the duo. Okay, that is all of the credited people in the song covered. From C&K's unique vocals, to Mori's legendary lyric writing abilities, to Zedd repurposing his most beloved composition. But I think it's important we zoom back out a bit and consider where all this started. We may never know if Toei had already started work on a different opening before Toriyamas passing. We know they've been working on and animating the series for years now, so even if it's likely, it's just not something that we can say for sure. But I don't think that that's what matters. I don't even think the OP's actual music being reused almost one-to-one is what matters, interesting as it may be. What I think matters is how everyone, from composer, to lyricists, to vocalists, to even storyboard artists, animators, supervisors, compositors, everyone involved with the show, at what amounts to basically the last minute, gave their soul to this completely different opening, all in the name of Toriyama. And the thing is, everything that I just said in this video applies equally to the ending. I didn't even get to talk about it, but it too was created in the same time frame and completely restarted in the wake of the news. That is a lot of passion concentrated into a frantic rush to produce completely unforeseen openings and endings. And you know what? Despite that, they turned out absolutely fucking fantastic. The visuals, the music, the themes and homages, the little hidden details, everyone involved might not have had very long to make this opening, but damn if they didn't deliver. Not to get too sappy over a kid's show, but Toriyama was always a person that made an incredible impact on the world. Not just in the stories he told, but in the characters he brought to life and the artistry with which he did so. I know for a fact there are countless professional artists out there in the world today whose first real spark of interest in the medium was from seeing Toriyama's illustrations and style. But even more than that, I think about the lives that a character like Goku alone has touched. There's a quote from Toriyama he slotted in for the very final page of Dragon Ball that I think about a lot. He says, "Tackle life with as much energy as Goku. I'll try to do the same." It's a sentiment and worldview that has, without a doubt, inspired millions across the globe, and I think it's the same view that everyone working on Daima's opening took to heart. We might only be a few episodes into Daima as of recording this video, but given how clear it is that every single person working on this show is channeling a level of passion and dedication not often seen, hell, even Toriyama gave it his absolute all and contributed more to this anime than he literally ever has in the history of his life. I cannot wait every single week to watch a new episode. So I say, let's all do the same. Let's all tackle life with as much energy as Goku, and maybe, if we're lucky, we too will create something as lovely as Jaka Jaan. I'll let Zedd from 2020 play us out. Thanks for watching.